Before jumping into the demo for each of the different pillars, let me outline the rules for the tests and get a baseline score to show what point we're starting from. So the tests use the Lighthouse algorithm that is hosted by Google PageSpeed Insights. We really care about the mobile scoring that our page can achieve. The desktop scoring system is much more lenient, and we're doing mobile first development, right? Each test is run 5 times, and we take an average score from those five runs, simply due to the minor fluctuations that occur between each test we run. We're using a Windows VM with 32 gig of RAM, 2.6 gigahertz processor, and 64-bit that's hosted on Azure, and I'll show you that shortly. I've grabbed the Habitat SXA out of the box setup, and we'll be running against the home page for all the tests, so just hitting the same page. This Habitat SXA setup comes with default cache settings just around the navigation, and for the cache pillar, we'll show why that cache is critical for keeping the site running smoothly. All tests were conducted under a little bit of load on our VM, so using a npm tool called load test, which is available at that GitHub address. So let's have a quick look at our VM just to show you the setup. So this is my Habitat site. It's loaded onto a locally managed domain. I've got IIS set up with a number of different sites, all running the same thing, but then set up differently so we can test each of the pillars. This is my baseline instance, and that's what we'll be using now just to get a baseline score so that we can have a starting point from which we go from. As you can see inside of Sitecore, I'll just show you the Habitat setup. So here we have the Habitat examples installed. For these tests, I'm all using the Habitat Home example and this homepage in particular. Just to show you, those caching settings are turned on, so that navigation item is fully cached in the rendering cache. This is the cache we'll be using for a later pillar for one of the tests, and that is currently turned off. And the loading site is on baselinecd.dev.local. So running in the background, I have my little load test tool that's providing a certain amount of requests per second, which is about 10 requests per second, and it gives you the latency of those, the average latency of those responses going on at the moment. As you can see, latency around the 100 millisecond mark, so that's really what we want. We probably want that to be under 200 milliseconds to avoid getting penalized by the Google PageSpeed Insights tool. Okay, so that's inside the VM. Now let's jump back outside, and I'm going to simply run the site from that IP address, which is pointing to that baseline CD instance inside the VM. So Google's running through at the moment, testing the various criteria on that page. And as you can see, we're getting back a result of about 36 out of 100. You'll see here the different recommendations that Google makes to improve your page speed. So for each of the different pillars, we'll run through which recommendation that pillar might impact, and we'll see how that improves along the journey. So 36 out of 100, let's just run that one more time to give you an idea. And we're expecting small fluctuations around that 30 to 40 mark. Yep, 37, and one more just to prove the point, and 39. So there we have it. So our baseline mark is probably around the 35 to 40 mark. And then coming up next in the second video will be the image lazy loading pillar. and we'll see how that improves the baseline score. Please click on the next video to jump in and see the next page pillar.